Hi, I'm Nancy Guppy, host of Art Zone. To say that COVID-19 has changed the way we live would be an understatement. Face masks, constant hand washing, social distancing, these once strange behaviors have become the new normal. But how do we maintain these healthy habits and engage with art? Well, that was the topic of my recent conversation with Becky Witmer, the visionary managing director of A Contemporary Theater, aka ACT. Well, Becky Witmer, wonderful to see you.
Hi, Nancy. Good to see you.
What do you think of my bangs? I've been cutting them just a little bit too much.
I think they look great. They're kind of feathered, but just hitting your brow. Looks good to me.
All right. I'll go with that. Okay, so let's dive into this. ACT season was scheduled to open, I believe it was March 20th.
Correct.
Governor Inslee issued the shelter-in-place order March 23rd. Describe the impact of having to close the theater.
It's unlike anything you could never imagine. Of course, so many people are in this situation. I know we're not alone, but certainly nothing that any of us were prepared for. To all of a sudden realize that people weren't buying tickets, and so we knew our revenue wasn't coming in. There was so much caution around, a fear that things would be canceled. So to just have to stop and cut expenses as fast as possible, cancel productions, lay off staff, horrible decisions that we had to make, but all for the goal of keeping this organization going so that we can, wait this out, think strategically, and figure out what we're going to do on the other side. But we just had to act fast. We broke it into some immediate processes of survive, stabilize cash, take care of our people, and plan for the future.
Mm-hmm. So I know it was 5 plays. The season was 5 plays, I believe, and which was the final one to close, I think, around mid-November. Can you just reschedule the season and just say, okay, we're going to move all 5 plays into 2021? Is that possible to do?
It's something we're looking at, and as of now, we've not officially, made decisions about the fall or winter. We were so excited about this season. 4 out of the 5 plays written by women, all new playwrights that we've never done at ACT before, and we curated this season specifically to be on our stage in an election year, right? So kind of like the Sweat by Lynn Nottage was, the heaviest, most, really addressing current events, not political, but political. And then the season got progressively funnier as the year went on, and we were so excited to be doing Witch in the time when the election would be happening. To pick up a play and move it somewhere else, we have to look at what is the psyche of the world going to be after this? Where are these the right plays to be doing in a different time? And so we're assessing that for sure, along with anything. But it's hard to imagine just picking it up and moving it and having that same feeling and response to the themes we were looking at.
Mm-hmm. So I know, like with this season that just was, or part of it anyway, has been canceled or postponed, suspended for now. I know a lot of money is invested into a season as you're getting it going. So I'm just curious, for any theater, is there an insurance policy that you have that covers this kind of situation, or is the money put into pre-production essentially gone?
Well, we don't happen to have business interruption insurance that covers anything like this. A pandemic or epidemic is not included in our policy. And I don't know of any others in the community or nationally that have that kind of coverage. But, in our business model, we sell subscriptions up front. That helps to, lay the foundation for what it takes to build the season. And then as you go along, how we sell single tickets and group tickets, that helps to pay for kind of the in the now moments over the course of a show. And then all of that is supported by fundraising as well. So it costs hundreds of thousands of dollars to start a production. We're a $6 million theater, and 40% of that goes straight into production, and then another 10% into the artistic department. So half of our budget is, going straight to the art. And no, we don't get to recover those funds.
So what is your current thinking about reopening?
We are looking at 3 different timelines and scenarios. We're still looking at, okay, what does fall and holiday look like? What does winter, spring of 2021 look like? And then what does summer of 21 look like? You can't read all of the, predictions on the phases and the scientific reports and what's going to happen with a vaccine. And then, of course, how is the marketplace going to respond? When do our patrons feel comfortable coming back? Under what conditions are they going to feel safe sitting in seats with armrests again? So, we're building out those scenarios and modeling, what are the revenue and expense, potential, and then what's our liability? We have to be a safe place for our staff and artists. And, if that's not something we want to rush.
Now, I know you regularly meet with heads of arts organizations. I don't know if it's only local, maybe it's national, like 20 or so organizations. And I know that recently 2 epidemiologists were in on a meeting, maybe there was more than 2, who are scientists of diseases, let's make that clear. And they had some very specific input about what it could look like or should look like maybe to reopen. So talk about that.
The 2 experts we talked to were first to say they are virus experts. They are not policymakers.
Yes.
So, just based on what they know of the virus, how they thought we might consider reopening again. And, some really interesting feedback for us to consider about how do we approach distancing, how might we approach temperature testing, and how do you do that in a way, certainly for a seated event where so many people are coming in at one time. They did suggest that we would consider loading auditoriums like an airplane.
Now boarding rows 22 through 50.
And then exiting like an airplane, in zones. So thinking about how do you make sure people who are sitting in a certain section know when to show up and that they're going to be seated in a certain time. But really one of the interesting things we talked about was, the performance and what happens when you're speaking at full voice or playing an instrument at full voice or dancing, and there are droplets from our bodies.
The word droplets.
Yeah. Dracula. For ACT, what we normally say is what sets us apart in a positive way is that you're never more than 11 rows from the stage. And when you're in the front row, you are in the show. We're all about intimacy. And when I think about that as related to droplets, it's hard to think about how do we provide that same experience in a safe way.
I'm curious, how are you keeping subscribers and donors informed and engaged with your vision? And are donors still coming forward despite, the unknowns at this point?
Well, our audience is awesome as always, and we've been trying to be as transparent as possible with all of them about how we're making decisions. So we do that mostly through our email communication is the most efficient way. And then we have a couple of ticket office staff who are working from home. So the ticket office number is routed to their personal phones at home so they can manage calls and communication. We're asking our subscribers and anyone who had a ticket to either hold on to it for now or for shows that have passed, either donate the value of that back to the theater or just maintain it as a credit for a future show to help us out financially. And there's been a tremendous response there. And they're all just wanting to know, what's going to happen. They're watching the news and they know we're not going to announce something that isn't realistic. So just letting them know how we're making decisions. And then the donor community is incredible. Those who can have stepped forward to give. And that's what's keeping us going during this time and will for many months. So we're just grateful for that community and some of the relief funds that have been available. It's really heartwarming and to know that it's a sign that people believe in you and believe that you're going to come out the other side to make an investment in this time. And that's something that feels good when we need some feel-good moments.
Is ACT planning on doing any online performances, offering that?
Yes, we are. We have a podcast where our artistic director, John Langs, has interviewed some cast members from shows from this season and future seasons, and that's been a lot of fun. And then we are going to be doing some Zoom activities to do some digital content, mostly in kind of more digestible short bits, 15-minute sections of, maybe a reading or portion of a play and then talking about it. It's interesting to watch what others are doing and to learn and see, what's the appetite for watching something that is, full length, which also we just have some restrictions, through rights and royalties as to how we go about that. So we're trying to navigate what we can and can't do and really think about quality over quantity, and try to be strategic about what kind of art we want out there and how to make it available to folks. So I think over the summer, you'll see more from us. We're going to try some new things and put it out there and learn from it.
Yeah. Are you feeling finally hopeful, pessimistic, a little of both?
A little of both. This is an awful time, to have, almost 100,000 people have died from this in our country. Our community has been hit so hard. And so to just acknowledge that, and then to acknowledge we've had to lay off people. Healthcare is associated with jobs. And to know that when people don't have jobs, their healthcare is in jeopardy. And to not be able to offer concrete plans to people because none of us know what's going to happen. That is hard and gives me stress and anxiety that I have to work through, just like every leader. We're all dealing with that, right? But then you have to look for the silver linings in this, and that is that we get to reinvent our theater. We get to break it all apart and say, now when we rebuild, what does it look like to be an organization that is really committed to equity and inclusion? What does it mean to be a contemporary theater? How do we use this building in even a more productive way and more inclusive way? And the building's 95 years old. We're working towards a big centennial, and all of it. We just get to pick it all apart and put it together in a different way, and that's exciting. But we're just now to the point where there's some space mentally to think like that. Mm-hmm. It's hard not to, get excited about it, but at the same time to have the bandwidth to even have creative ideas. Mm-hmm. That's been a challenge.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have total faith in you and John Langs and the whole crew at ACT. And I'm really delighted to talk to you, Becky, and I want to say personally, it totally moves me. I believe in the arts, obviously. I believe in the power of theater, and I believe in leaders who have vision, and you do. And so I'm grateful, and I know the region is grateful too.
Oh, Nancy, thank you. It means the world. Thank you. I know we're going to come through this, and your support and encouragement means all the world right now. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome, and thank you. And we will see each other hopefully soon in person.
I hope so.
Okay. Take care of yourself.
Thanks.
Bye.
Stay strong and know that though alone, we can get through this together. And know that I am still perfecting my art. For you.